Number 10, anonymous question. Can you explain Matthew 7:21 versus Romans 10:13? Also, how do you spot worldly Christians, 1 Corinthians 3:1, from those who are unsaved but have good works, Matthew 7:22 through 23? Shouldn't we have grace for sanctification? All right, but let me tell you guys something that I'm going to throw out there. Anonymous question. This is not personal. It's just about like what works well online. It's better if you guys try to ask one question and not 3 questions. Here's these verses, explain those. Now here's the other verses, completely different issue, explain those. And now here's a whole different issue, explain that. This is like, I'm not going to be able to handle all that. So what I'm going to do, probably moving forward, is I'm going to pick part of the question and answer it because it's just too much. So Matthew 7:21 and Romans 10:13. Let's look at these things. So, hey, I don't knock you for trying to squeeze in as much as you can. Maybe you've been trying to get questions in for weeks. So you've tried to like whittle it down. But for me, I can't handle, it's not 60 questions. It's 20. All right. So Matthew 7:21, can I explain this versus Romans 10:13? Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Right. So, put it on your screen. So the basic idea here is like, hey, it's not enough to claim that I'm Lord. And this great, really good observation that Romans 10:13 also talks about calling Jesus Lord. So let's deal with that. He's like, hey, it's not enough to call me Lord. You got to also be the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Now let's look at Romans 10:13 and see why this is potentially confusing. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. But the way Jesus says, not everyone who calls me Lord is going to ultimately be saved. It's going to be in the kingdom. Romans 10:13, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. I think the simple answer here is that it's a sincere call. So when Jesus says, there are some who say to him, Lord, Lord, didn't we do this and that and da-da-da? And he's like, no, you didn't truly, sincerely call me Lord. You called me Lord, but it wasn't genuine and sincere. And nobody should take Paul and his Romans 10 passage as meaning that you can insincerely call Jesus Lord. And there's plenty of people who do this, especially if you're raised in the church or if you're raised with kind of a Christian background. You tend to call yourself Christian just like you've like osmosis. You've sort of absorbed Christian things, but maybe there isn't like a genuineness. Like you're not actually calling on the name of the Lord. You just are a Christian by association. So the next question you can ask is this: what about the works? And the passage that Jesus brought up, that Jesus says, what you need to do to enter is you need to do the will of the Father. Well, no, I said it wrong. I said it different than Jesus. Jesus didn't say, if you want to enter heaven, you have to do the will of the Father. He's describing the kind of person who is entering heaven, which is the person who does the will of the Father. There's a difference, because doing the will of the Father can be a result of salvation, not the cause. So when you say, I call upon the name of the Lord genuinely, I am transformed from the inside out. I begin to live a different life. I begin to do the will of God. Truly. Doesn't mean perfectly, and I always am, sin-free and stuff. But there is a difference. Like the will of God here is I'm truly yielding my life to him, and then he works in me to will and do according to his good pleasure. So then when I look at people and I see fake claims to love Jesus and real claims to love Jesus, the evidence is the life. Or am I actually living that life? And if I am, then it's genuine. So the big issue here, and this is me being very Protestant, the big issue here is that works are the result of salvation. They are not the cause. Works are present in the life of a believer, but they're not what makes them a believer. Belief does, and then believing brings out the works because of the work of God in their life.